Everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. Welcome to episode 111 of We the GamerCast. It's the official podcast of WeTheNerdy.com, and it comes to you on Monday on iTunes, Google Play, and Mother Loving YouTube every Monday. I said that already, but I'm a little thrown off. I gotta whisper. Lincoln just went to sleep. This is the only time that I have to do this, everybody. I'm taking a bus. I'm going to Calgary land. Oh, wait. Is he screaming now? Is that what I'm hearing? Is there? Maybe not. Maybe I'm imagining things. I'm going to see Rybo, sort of, but not really. But maybe if you want to, Rybo, I will visit you. I will be in Calgary tonight on Sunday all the way through Thursday. So if you're at Nintendo, I will be recording from a hotel room, probably the Xbox Drive as well, maybe even guesting on the PlayStation podcast. It's going to be an interesting week, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. If you're watching this on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy, it's all because of all of our patrons at patreon.com/MakeUsBetter, because you guys are making us better. We've got returning guests, we've got video, we've got maybe even a game coming. Guys, you guys are insane. So thank you so much to everybody who contributes. We got new patrons this week. We got Zelfred, Guererro, and Aaron. You got me all mixed up now, Aaron, because you said that we say your name wrong. Now I'm like second guessing myself. It looks like Doherty. Doherty. Damn it, I'm doing it again. So thank you guys so much. Just because I can't say your name doesn't mean I'm not grateful. I'm very, very grateful. And on behalf of Bobby and Toby, I know they're giving you shout outs on the Nintendo PlayStation podcast, as well as if we were at Nintendo. You guys are amazing. And all of our executive producers, like our platinum executive producer, Corey Hicks, who, by the way, just saw a recent picture of you. Looking good without the beard, man. Looking clean shaven. Very, very handsome. Handsome Canadian underneath that lumberjack beard that you had going on. So high five to Corey. Our gold executive producer, Sheldon Benedict. Our executive producers, Nick Militia, who is a special guest on Nintendo Talk this week. So if you guys check that out, youtube.com/Nintendo Guru. Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom. Jesse Armstrong, our guest today. Glocko Schaefer, Joey Hare, our guest last week. David Ray, a guest from a few weeks ago. And Mike Drummy. Guys, thank you so much. Way more of you than we ever thought. That's for sure. We're like, well, we'll just throw this executive producer thing up there and maybe one. Who knew we'd be 4 minutes into the show by the time we get past talking about all you guys. So thank you so much. Well deserved. Absolutely. If you missed last week's conversation with Joey Hare, what a good time, man. Especially the Halo chat. I think I might have to call up Luke Lohr on that round table. I think that might be a thing that has to happen. I'd like to just play it, honestly, like, because I don't have like a deep knowledge about Halo and like the lore and everything, like the Luke lore, but it's a good time, man. And there's a lot of stuff coming up with the X new updates. The Master Chief Collection is going to get some new stuff in the spring, so Halo's going to be with us for a little while. So guys, whether you like it or not, or if you're pretending to hate it, and some like maybe you liked it before, you should visit it again. It's good times, guys. By the way, that commercial at the beginning, throwing it back old school, all thanks to Dave Moore, who was on the show with our second returning guest episode for October, and reminded me of all the good things that we used to have at the beginning of the show. And I used to have like basically the same ad running every week for a couple weeks until somebody had mentioned that they were confused by it, that they thought that they weren't getting a new episode because the ad was the same. So I just wanted to avoid it. I stopped doing it. I always meant to get back to it. So maybe at some point Dave and I will record something for the Xbox Drive. But I should mention that was so old that we didn't mention DaceSpace. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that if we ran Nintendo as a proud member of the DaceSpace network of podcasts, or whatever we call it. Sorry, Dave. It's a half-baked making up for that miss. Guys, there's a thing that's happened in my life just in the last little bit. I'm starting to maybe obsess about 4K a little bit. How the heck did this happen? I've got it in my mind that I can actually work. So before, let's just take a step back. Before, I just let you know, I've got the where we play video games for the most part is in the basement. We've got the two TVs set up. A lot of you have seen that. I should do a video about that at some point. But these two TVs, they match. They're identical. We bought them at the same time. They're 1080p. They're plasma. I love these TVs. And they run through a home theater setup. They run through an amplifier. So in order for my gaming setup to switch over to 4K, it needs two TVs and an amp. So even though TVs have dropped, it's going to be it's significant. So that's not happening. It's not happening really anytime soon or ever, let's be honest. Unless those things like blow up, that's kind of what is required for that setup to change. But recently I've started recording in this room where you're seeing me, if you're watching on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy, or if you're hearing me, this is where I recorded a new room, and I've got everything kind of piped through my computer. I've got a PS4 here, I've got my Super Nintendo Classic, I've got my Xbox, all here. So lately I've been playing a lot of games on my computer monitor, which is not very good. It's a cheap kind of LG, just a bargain basement thing we picked up at Black Friday maybe last year. So things actually don't look that great on it. I can notice a difference, and it made me like realize that every time I played a PC game, I thought my PC games weren't looking good. I actually thought that my computer wasn't powerful enough to give me good visuals, but ultimately it's just the monitor. So that's a thing. Anyway, I think I might get a 4K TV sitting next to me. I want to do like the smallest 4K I can do is like a 40-inch. So I might do maybe trade up these two monitors for like maybe a little bit of a larger one, 24-inch maybe. So I'll have a 24-inch and then a 4K 40-inch. Anyways, this is taking over. I'm like shopping left, right, and center. And Black Friday, guys, is less than a month away. I can't wait. I think that's going to be a thing that might be an early Christmas present, but we'll see. I'll let you know. Let me know, guys, on Twitter. I'm at Sean Capri, Sean like Connor Capri like the pants. I didn't even say that, did I? If you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger from the internet. If you want to be on the show, tweet at me. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants on Twitter. Let me know what you guys are doing with 4K. We've got the Xbox One X coming up pretty quickly here, and hopefully, I mean, it's unfortunate because I'll be out of town until Thursday, but I'm hoping that I'll have a review copy of the Xbox. This Project Scorpio is going to be in this house early. So I will be able to pass along my thoughts, and as I mentioned, with the two TVs side by side, I'll actually be able to talk to many of you who only have 1080p, where I will have my S running on one and the X running on the other, and I'll just do same game because if for the digital stuff, I can play at the same time. I'm sure there's a way for me to do that. Pretty certain. But anyways, that's a thing you can look forward to. I'm pretty pumped about that. I have to decide at some point today if I'm bringing my PlayStation or my Xbox. I think it might be my Xbox so I'm playing South Park, which is on my PS4. I'm also playing Shadow of War, thanks to Edwin Callow. Thank you, man. So I got a big decision to make. I think it might ultimately be my Xbox because I also have The Evil Within on that one. So I might do some hotel scary gaming and just cry myself to sleep because I'm a big old baby. I got a bus ride coming up, as I mentioned in the episode. This conversation coming up with Jesse Armstrong. I've got a 3.5 hour bus ride with my old Switch here, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, guys, I think we're gonna get right into it. But I hope before I do, I hope you've had a good week of gaming and life. I hope that this week coming up is good, and yeah, hopefully sunshine and rainbows for everybody, guys. Jesse Armstrong, one of the kindest human beings I've had the pleasure of meeting. He has done a lot for me in the past, and even through this. I know just booking time to have these conversations isn't always easy, so I appreciate Jesse's time this morning. He is at LilWade33. I'm going to have his Switch ID, if I can snag it in time, in the show notes, because you guys should definitely play some Splatoon with him if you haven't already. And, guys, I didn't see the Canada story coming at the end. It makes me want to have him back. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. One of the most amazing human beings ever. His name is Jesse Armstrong, and Jesse Armstrong. Why did I mess this up? I've only done this 111 times before. Jesse Armstrong. Yes! Look at that hat. What's going on, man?
That's my Halloween
costume. Is it really?
Yeah. My oldest decided to be Luigi for Halloween.
Man, I was just thinking about that with Lincoln and stuff, and how like I could go as like a big Link, and he could go as like even like just do like the Ocarina of Time. He could be like a little kid, but he's got to run around first, I think.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You gotta wear that hat this whole time, man. You know it's a video. Yeah. Although the hair is done so nicely, like I can't wear a hat and keep hair done that nicely underneath. Like my hair is a disaster. Like I just woke up. We actually got to sleep in. Lincoln let us sleep in a little bit. We had a 6 a.m. wake up. We had a little scream fest and changed the diaper. And now although I'm sure at this moment he's probably just kind of like getting up. But this is later than normal, man. It's kind of nice. I'm sure you know sure you know the feeling.
Yeah, I actually was out really late last night. So today is Jacob Rush's birthday.
I was just gonna say that. Like, what are the chances that we talk and then it's so? Is that where you were last night?
Yeah. I got there late, but I was there from like 9 till 3 in the morning.
Good God, 3 in the morning doesn't exist for me anymore, man. How the heck did you do that? What were you guys up to?
Yeah, just did it. We played some Smash and got a SNES Classic. So,
nice.
Played some and I'm trying to think what else we played.
Dude, that's
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, are you? Have you been playing that like just there, or like was that your first time with it?
Yeah, just there. He got it for his birthday,
dude, that for Switch. Yeah, I played it for Xbox for a little bit, but I'm like, I don't know why, but for some reason, like, that's just gonna be a better fit on Switch. How did it play? Like, how did you find it?
It played pretty well. I mean, I have not played a Dragon Ball Z game before, so it was really neat, kind of doing the battles in the air and.
But it was smooth and everything, because like I feel like this is one of those games that exists everywhere else, and probably gets put under a lot of scrutiny in terms of, well, it's on the Switch, it's on a portable system, but like I feel like if you didn't even notice, like, what should I be looking for something, that's kind of like the ideal situation, right?
Yeah, I think it played really well. I mean, the only thing you can tell is like I think the characters have more of a comic book look to them, and then the world is more realistic. So you kind of see like some of that on the edges. I think it's.
I love that.
Because I think it's art style. So
kind of like a cell shading kind of thing, like a Borderlands kind of thing. Oh, yeah, dude, that's awesome. I think I might, because it's not even like they didn't roll that out at full price. I don't think. I think that you still could get that one for a little less on the Switch. And I actually have a bus ride later today. I'm really looking forward to it because, man, I haven't played my Switch in a long time, like embarrassingly long. So I've got it sitting right next to me right here, and like every time I just look at it, I'm like, I'm sorry, I just need to play some South Park or Shadow of War or something. And Mario Rabbids are like, you were so excited about us, what the heck, man? And that's I've got a 3.5 hour bus ride later today. And I've got one coming home later on this week, so I've got at least 7 hours of Switch time coming my way, man. I'm pretty pumped about it.
Awesome. How far are you in Reddit?
Dude, like second world, and like now I don't even know where to go. Like, maybe you can help me out with this too, because at first I really liked like the overworld and being able to explore everywhere, but like I don't really know at all where to go. I'm not sure exactly, like, if you maybe not help me out specifically with like where to go next, but like how did you find wandering around? Because I feel like I'm just lost at this point. I don't really know, is there something that's like guiding me to the next section typically?
Have you gone back through World 1 and done the challenges, or gone through and found all the other chests?
Man, like that's kind of what the only thing that I was finding. Like I wasn't sure, where's the arrow pointing me to World 2?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know which direction. I want to say northwest, but kind of northwest.
Did you beat it?
I just finished 3-6.
And are there 4 worlds? I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you kind of taking your time, or is it just that hard?
No, I've just been taking my time. I've been busy with work. So
how many kids do you have? You have 4 kids. I like you say, I've been busy with work. Oh, and by the way, I've got a litter of children in the other room.
Yeah. There's only one home with me right now.
Oh,
so
really?
I skipped church this morning because our oldest woke up.
Oh, okay. I thought it was my fault. Okay, I feel better. Okay.
No.
That must not happen very often though. Like I remember we used to go to church when I was a kid, and it was like, unless somebody has like some bodily fluid flowing out of a nose or a mouth or something, it's like, dress up, you're going to church, and no toys. I don't know if that's a thing now. I used to see other kids playing around with like toys and stuff, and we used to think, oh, so lucky, you guys get all your toys to play at church. And No, man. We were there. We were there to pay attention for sure.
Yeah, we don't let them take their toys in, but I mean, we have a whole kids area.
Oh,
so
nice.
Each one.
Do they do like a Sunday school or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of during the service, so it's not like
right.
before or anything. But
so the kids go off and do their thing, and they talk about stories and do like coloring. It's like that's basically what I did. I don't know if I don't know why this reminds me of that, but whenever I think of like the Sunday school that we would have went to as kids, every time we went, we would have been like coloring or drawing on paper that was like photocopied, and for some reason it was way cheaper to photocopy onto like yellow or green or pink paper. So I always think of these handouts that we would get in this yellow, and like so weird. What a strange memory that I have, and I'm always curious. Like, so you're very entrenched. This is a weekly thing. You're going to church every single Sunday. This must be something that you grew up with as well. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, from the time I was in probably third.
Yeah. So your parents were. It was very important for them to be bringing you to church, kind of thing. Like they grew up in a faith-based family, in a church family.
Yep.
So like, how is that for you growing up? Is there any sort of like, because I talked to Jacob about this, I think too, a little bit about what kind of conflicts sort of arise out of the message of the church, and then also the variety of interactive sort of content with video games. And I'm always curious to find like where people land on, is it anything with like pure violence you're just staying away from, because I've heard that from people, or is it just this is just another form of entertainment and you're still able to find a balance between the two? Like where do you games and the church sort of play a role within your house, Jesse?
Now, I mean, with my kids, we pretty much, restrict all of it.
Like all games?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kids friendly.
Okay.
Games, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I took a long break from gaming. And I just got back into gaming since the Switch came out. But yeah, growing up, I didn't have any restrictions. I mean, music and games and things, I was allowed to watch and
what
do
kind of
whatever.
music were you listening to that maybe now you'd go, no, maybe that's not happening in the house?
Korn,
yeah.
Eminem, I mean, I'm pretty much in the
yeah, man. And, that's so funny that you bring up Korn. Korn was like the first band that I brought in my house that my dad especially was like, you are not listening to this. And I was like, I kind of really want to. Like, it was one of those like first examples. I think that's a lot of kids maybe in our generation who can look back on those days and go, you know what? I'm going to listen to whatever I want, man. And I'm just going to do whatever it is I want. Because he was very against a lot, and probably still would be, even as a kind of reliving things through our eyes as new parents now, being very careful about the content and the stuff that the kids are involved in. And it's funny, and I never thought of it at the time, but I bring this up quite often on the show, is, dude, we were playing Wolfenstein in the house, and we were stabbing German Shepherds in the face, and we were killing Nazis, and like we've got chainsaws and everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, and we're worried about Korn. And it's just kind of funny to see like the difference between, music especially, and then what happens with video games. Like we had Doom as well, and like the BFG, and if anybody ever knew what that stood for, it's just like, you're not playing that game ever again. And the blood and guts and just the corpses laying around. But man, if you're listening to Limp Bizkit and Korn, you're in for real trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I had my game systems in my room, so I wasn't. So my parents didn't really see what I was playing. As far as music goes, I mean, I was listening to Chord and riding with them, and they would just like look at me like, here's some of the lyrics.
Oh, really?
They were like,
see, that was the best thing about them. Like, you couldn't understand what he was saying. So at least all my dad heard was just noise, and he was just upset I was listening to like not music, because he's playing trumpet and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was singing too. So
nice. Oh, dude, everybody had their version of John Davis's like little scat that he did and everything. Just and I'm hearing it in my head, dude. So like, but for your parents, like, this wasn't like the music and the video games, like whatever. So now, as like, how old are your kids? Like, what's the stretch you've got across the four of them?
6'4", 3 next Saturday.
Oh
and
yeah,
one.
okay. So especially like the 1 year old, maybe like, or sorry, the 6 year old, the oldest. Are there tastes that are starting to? I was talking to Chelsea about this yesterday. How she often says things like, "Oh, Lincoln really likes Ed Sheeran," and it tends to like soothe him. There's a particular song that she's found that just like calms him right out. And I always find it funny to go like, out of all the music that he's listened to, like, did he tell you that he has this preference? It's kind of. I think that, eventually he will come and have his preferences. So are you finding this with your kids? Like, are there preferences in games, or I guess with the games or any other entertainment that are starting to come out that isn't necessarily the stuff that you give them to, like, that you put in front of them to play? Like, are they starting to figure out, I like this sort of thing, or this, like, this style of game, or this style of interactive entertainment?
Yeah. His favorite band is Skillet.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, basically Christian heavy rock. So, and he drives his mom crazy because he wants to all the time. Yeah, she can't stand it. So, as far as games, he wants to play every game.
Oh yeah. Where does that come from? How does he get exposed to every game?
Every game we have. So, Zelda and Rabbids and Arms, Splatoon 2.
So you're loading up on every Switch game, like everything that's coming out.
At least the AAA games. I've gotten some of the indie games.
What an attach rate for this system, man! I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who's just like, yeah, I just got Zelda and that was it. Like, everybody's getting at least Mario Kart, and then that spills into everything else. Like, what a crazy year. I want to come back to the Switch. I want to come back to the now. But you mentioned for a while, like, you took a bit of a break from video games. Where was the lead up to that break? Like, where did things kind of start for you? Do you remember being introduced to games at a certain point in your life?
Yeah, growing up, I'm not sure exactly what age, but probably 6 or 7. I started playing.
Nice, yeah.
My mom worked at a video store, so basically I got to rent any game for
no
free.
Way, dude.
So
that's like the dream. Are you kidding me? Like, everybody would, like, I feel like there's kids in my school who would lie about a situation like that just because it sounded so cool.
Yeah. So I'd, go to work with her, and I would sit in the back room and just play games all day and then just swap them out on the shelf.
Are you kidding me?
Like, yeah, it was awesome. So I don't have really good memory.
I'm the same, man.
A lot of the games. But, like, I've seen a lot of videos and stuff. Like, I recently saw Skater die at a shop, and I was like, man, that cover kind of looks familiar. So I looked up, like, some gameplay of it. I'm like, yeah, I played that game. It's like, I don't know how far I got, but...
See, and that's not a game that, like, everybody talks about. That seems like a pretty low-key kind of game. So you were able to kind of, like, tap into, like, this other world of games just because you didn't have to plop down $100 for these cards.
Yeah. So I was just grab them off the shelf.
How many generations did your mom work there for? Like, how many video game generations were you able to kind of dive into the back room and just play whatever you want?
Mainly just the NES and some Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't have a Super Nintendo. So, I'm an every other Nintendo guy. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I didn't have.
So how does that make you feel now with, like, the Super Nintendo Classic Edition out? Everybody's saying this is the greatest console ever. Because you and I have this connection. Like, I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up either. I'm on a Nintendo podcast, so I don't know how that ends up working out. But, you've got Jacob Rush, who has apparently played every game in the Nintendo lineup, like, since the very beginning. Like, are you going back? I know that you were recently looking at kind of retro shopping too. Like, you picked up that the NES action pack with the zapper and everything. Are you going back in the Super Nintendo world too? Like, how are you revisiting some of the old days that you missed out just the same as I did?
Yeah, I got the SNES Classic. And that's the main thing was I've only played Mario Kart and a little bit of Super Mario World.
Yeah, so you got like 20 some game, well, almost 20, the whole set, brand new.
Well, in Street Fighter, but I played on Genesis.
But maybe this is like that
Yeah.
specific one that you didn't play. It's like I played like
Yeah.
Super Street Fighter, but I didn't play Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah. Yeah. So all those games are new to me. Like I said, I've been busy with work, and that's one of the things. It's really hard to get that system out with the kids because everybody's like running around, tripping over the cords, and yanking it out.
Yeah, man.
TVs.
We grew up. We were barely wearing seatbelts, and we had tripping hazards all over the place. Everything was corded. I remember when I first got a 360, or actually I saw somebody else's 360, and he turned on the system with the cordless, with the wireless controller. I'm like, this is the future. I've been tethered to my consoles or to somebody else's consoles forever. That was the future. Little did I know that I'd be carrying a console with me, like practically in my back pocket with the Switch in the near future. So, did you have? There was a specific reason for stepping away from games for quite a period of time?
Yeah, I've taken 2 breaks. One was when me and my wife got married, so 2007. At the time, I had actually got away from console gaming. Just when it was into PC gaming, was playing Warcraft, and
Yes.
she saw how much time that was taking, and basically said, "When we get married, you're done playing."
Whoa. How did that conversation go? Okay, and first of all, how much time are we talking about here? Like, was it like every day, 8 hours a day? Because good on her.
I was playing probably 3 to 4 hours a day.
But then going to nothing.
Yeah.
So walk me through this.
I had my old systems. I still had my Xbox and 64 and everything, but at that point, like,
and you're just
that
like,
was it.
okay.
Yeah. So that was the deal.
To get married was give up was a trade off. How long did that last?
It lasted till the Wii came out, and
so about a year.
Then we got a Wii. I think it was about 2 years. I think we got it a little bit later.
2 years of no games to get. How did you? Okay, so was it worth it? I mean, that's the wrong question because obviously you love your wife, and that was all great. So getting married was worth it. Do you?
Yeah.
Like, what are the games that you miss that you're like, oh, that was a crappy deal?
Yeah. I mean, like I said too, at the time I had already kind of stepped away from console. So on PC, I really was World of Warcraft and I didn't really.
That's
miss
funny.
It that much.
It's like World of Warcraft. It does seem like there's probably as many intervention stories about World of Warcraft as there are Switches that have been sold this year. Like, there's probably just so many. Like, no, seriously, you need to uninstall World of Warcraft. And honestly, like, that was why I didn't even. I used to work at the Canadian Best Buy here, and like there was trials all over the place. I think they even came on a CD. You could grab the CD and it's like, play for free for 2 weeks, and I'm like, nope. You're a drug dealer. Get away from me. I don't even want to have that, like, oh, the first hit's free, man, but then you got to pay. It was too terrifying to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest part of that was my brother-in-law was, like, heavy into World of Warcraft, and still is. And so my wife saw that, and she was like,
she saw the path that you were headed down. Okay.
Yeah. She's like, that's all he does in his free time. That's not what you're going to do.
How did he feel about this deal? I imagine that, like, that probably he probably would have agreed with that because he's on the polar opposite end of the scale.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he wouldn't have agreed. Like I said, he's still playing now. So.
But it is interesting that it gave you, I don't know if, like, purely this, or maybe you were already thinking this ahead of time, but, like, I think that there's a version of that across a lot of marriages, across a lot of, like, relationships that are building in the beginning of, there's obviously compromise, there's obviously sacrifice, there's things that we walk away from for the benefit of the relationship, whether or not it's a deal or a trade-off or that's just the way things work out. And for me, it was like, when I met Chelsea, that was kind of like, oh, this is like a real grown-up relationship. Like, this is actually the real deal. And Oh, my parents also have a real deal relationship. Like they raised 4 kids, and like I would be very lucky to be half the parent that they are. So what are the things that they do? They don't drink 3 times a week. They don't do like all these. They don't gamble. They don't spend their money in these ways. Like they're very like conservative in those ways. So like maybe I could adopt some of those things. And so for me, it wasn't necessarily like a deal necessarily. Like it's me or this thing that you enjoy doing. It was more like in order for like it was kind of like a gut check for me of in order for this to be family type of situation, which is very different than any relationship I thought of before. I've got to be more like the parents that I've seen, the parents that have raised me. So there was like this transition of no more drink, not even just no more drinking. It was just I'm not partying until 7 a.m. and then being like worthless on the Saturday or the Sunday afterwards. And it was just like this revelation of, oh, I can wake up on a Sunday morning and be totally functional. That's pretty sweet. And you kind of like realize that that gives you some solid foundation to then be there and be the husband that you want to be for your wife and be the dad that you want to be for your kids. So I give you a hard time, but I want to let you know that like there's a version, like I said, there's a version of that for everybody. How has life for you gotten? I can only assume life has gotten more complicated with every kid. Like I was maybe because I didn't know what we were getting into with Lincoln. Like I had ideas and I knew that things were going to change, but because we had already kind of given up like the party life and going out and stuff, that's the same. We're home anyway, so like now there's just a baby. I'm way more terrified for the second kid than I was for the first one. Like, and you've done this numerous times. Chelsea has said that she wants a number of kids, and I'm like, it takes 2 in order to get to 3, unless there's a twin situation, which goodness gracious, if twins happen, I don't even know, man. So how has life just, I guess, progressively gotten more complicated, and like what are some of the things that you've done to adjust life so that you now have 6 people living in your house, man? Holy crap.
Yep. Bunk beds.
I love it. Keep it simple, man. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, going from 1 to 2 was a pretty big change. Yeah. And also, I mean, our second son has Down syndrome.
Oh my gosh, man.
That was a big change.
No kidding.
Too. And, the biggest thing with him was he had a heart defect. So he was born with 2 holes in his heart. It's a AV canal. And so he was in NICU for a month after he was born.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. So already on top of going from 1 to 2, it's complications of 6 kids all at once.
Yeah. So then our oldest went and stayed with, actually between my wife's parents and my parents a little bit of time over that month. And my wife stayed at the hospital, and then I was in between the hospital and the house. So, I mean, that was crazy. And then he had open heart surgery at 6 months. And at 10 months old, he got pneumonia. So his first year was pretty
holy
rough.
cow. And what were you guys, like, were you working? Like, what was, how the heck did you manage that, dude?
I don't even know. It's crazy.
Does it seem like a lifetime ago now? Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
How's he doing now though? Like, was it just first year and then set on a path that those complications are lower, and that's just like it's just amazing. I guess now you probably appreciate like at least it's quote unquote just Down syndrome. Like, is that even a way to look at it? Like, there's so much else to it. That do any of those other complications pop up now?
Yeah, as far as health issues, no.
Oh, good, man. Thank
I mean, he's more susceptible to getting like pneumonia and stuff like that. But he's really been healthy since that first
Holy
year.
cow! And then you went, let's go for more. This is fine. Let's just have more. How do you end up with 4 kids?
We planned our first.
I guess that takes 1 to get to 2 to get to 3 to get to 4. So
some bad management ended up on the other 3.
Oh,
I don't know, like time management or resource management, whatever you want to call it.
Management.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever would have come up with that. But yeah, sure. Basically anything to go to not say oops, or we didn't mean necessarily for that to happen. So are there more coming, Jesse? Are you...
No. I had surgery last year.
Okay. Like the surgery? Like the
Yep.
Which, okay. Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to dive into like what that appointment is like?
Oh, it's pretty awful. Oh yeah.
So,
and everybody has like a different opinion and different story. And I heard a lot of people was like, "Oh yeah, it's painless."
That's kind of what I've heard. But no, man, I'm a big baby.
Yeah. No, it wasn't painless. It did not feel good. And
big old rusty knife that they use.
My wife had to like basically carry me out to the car because I had to like sit down for like 5 to 10 minutes to walk out. Like you go in and you get the procedure done. Literally, they're like, "All right, well, go home and ice it. Like that's it. Like, see ya."
That's why we lose that argument now. Like, you realize that?
Really?
Like 20 years ago, this was not the norm. Now it's kind of like women have caught on and go like, "Hang on a second. There's a thing that you walk out of the appointment and like we're sitting here doing like full on surgery. No. Yeah. You guys, it's on you now. Like this is a pretty normal thing, I think. Like pretty standard."
Yeah. Yeah, but we got down.
Were
to
you
the
nervous
lobby
though going in? Like you walk into the appointment and you go like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?"
I was nervous. I probably wasn't. I mean, if I would have known what it was going to feel like, I probably would have been more nervous. So, you know, and the operating room, like it's just at a doctor's office, not even at a hospital. So like I'm just laying on a table, and the nurse comes in and preps me, and then like she walks out the room, and like I'm just sitting there like.
Just like Winnie the Pooh?
On display. It's like...
Just like Winnie the Pooh, just like a shirt and then no pants kind of thing?
Yeah.
They give you a bowl of honey.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the guy walks in. Because I had a similar, not entirely thing, but like one of those things where you walk in and go like, this could be something, like maybe they should put me under, or like maybe this is a bigger deal. And then you get there and it's like, no, man, you're just sitting on a bench. I had broke my thumb one year. When I was in high school, I broke my thumb, and they did put me under to put like a nail in, like they put like a pin in my hand, and it actually kind of like stuck out at the end, and I went a month or so with like a splint that would cover it. So then when it was time, when my thumb had healed, it was time to get this thing out. So I thought, well, they put me under to put it in, so they must be putting me under to take it out. But no, man, that was a 20-minute thing where they sat me down, they took off the splint. And he looks at it. He's like, "Okay, everything looks good. Everything looks clean." And so I'll just go grab my pliers. And I'm like, "Hang on a second. You're what? Your pliers? What? Like, am I in like a Mexican like doctor's office here? Like, what? This is Canada. And surely you're not using like my dad's tools to pull this thing out." And yep, sure enough, it was 5 seconds. He just kind of yanked on. He's like, "Oh, it's kind of stuck." And I'm like, "Haha, very funny." Gives it a good yank, and it was like, "Oh, that hurts a lot," and then the blood comes rushing out.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing fairly similar situation, except with a much more sensitive kind of area.
Yeah. Well, he came in and he like pulled out his iPhone and set it up and turned music on, like had some music playing,
just to relax you
and
a little
then
bit. Mm-hmm.
He was trying to small talk with me and like, "How's work?" and all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not talking. Like I gave him like really short answers, so I think he kind of caught on that I wasn't like in a small talk mood.
God! But but it helps, Jesse. That's why it hurt you so much, because you have to small talk. It's like when you give blood or when you get a blood test or something. They're like, "Oh, so the weather," and you're like, "I don't want to talk about the weather. How boring." Oh wait, there's a point to this.
Yeah, I don't small talk anyway. Like on a normal day, so like let alone like while I'm being messed with. And so then him and the nurse just start talking, and they're like talking about like a party coming up and all that stuff, and I'm like,
just get this over with.
just focusing on the pain, like trying to get through it. So.
Were you tense? Maybe that's another thing. Maybe this is advice. This is a cautionary tale for all of our friends who are having babies right now, but maybe one day will want to stop having babies. Guys, okay, so the lesson I'm taking from this is engage in the small talk. I'll set up my iPhone and be like, hey, welcome to episode whatever 400, and I don't know, it'll probably be sooner than that.
Just replay.
Exactly. Be like, hey man, I just
he'll get it.
So then, okay, so you're sitting there, you're on display. They're prepping. I'm sure they're like dipping things in disinfectant and burning the tips of blades, and they're just it's like Bloodborne. They've got all these different weapons. They're choosing which ones are going to do the trick. At what point do you start? Like, when does the nervousness get to maximum intensity?
I mean, I don't.
Did you black out?
What it necessarily he was pulling on.
Oh, jeez.
So he made the incision and like went in, so I could still kind of feel that. Wasn't like completely numb. And then he started pulling on a tube or something. And like as soon as he tugged on that, I was like, oh, that's when small talk was done. So that was
How long ago was this?
Just over a year.
And it's fresh in your mind still, like you remember it just like yesterday. Is this like your family doctor who does this, or is this like is it a specialist or something?
No, it's urologist.
Oh my gosh! You know what the best thing is? I mean, in Canada, we wouldn't even pay for that. But I can imagine. Do you walk out and go like, okay, here's my payment or my insurance or whatever? Or, like, are you able? Because like that's just adding insult to injury. Just like here is just a not pleasant experience. And now my wallet's hurting too.
Yeah, it was like I think $1,500.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, part of this show, I just want to let Americans know that like that's not a thing
have
here.
It up front. Yeah, you have to pay up front. I mean, this isn't normal like a normal doctor. Usually, it's like a copay or something like that. But because this is a elective surgery,
right? Of course,
you pay for it up front. And then after you pay for it, they turn it into insurance.
Interesting.
And then whatever the insurance pays for, then you'll get like a refund of the difference.
That's kind of like what we're going to do with Lincoln. If he graduates high school and then works but doesn't want to move out or anything, we're going to treat it like rent. And he can pay us rent, but we're just going to stash the money aside and then help him with like a down payment or something like that. Like I'm sure that's basically the exact same thing. Yeah. Nice, man. So what are you playing right now? Like now that we've done the cautionary tale of, okay, everybody, 4 kids, and then you get the little snippy snip, and that's what that's all like. What else are you playing now? Is it you're just Nintendo, basically? Like, are you just playing Nintendo systems?
Yeah.
And is it always, other than the brief stint with PC, like, has that always been? Because I always appreciate that about Jacob and Ryan, and like their love for Nintendo is so pure. And here you are on my show wearing a Mario hat, and I'm gathering it's a very similar situation.
Yeah, I mean it is now, just because of it's more family friendly. I know a lot of the games that I played, growing up, it kind of exposed me to other things. And kind of early on with Isaiah, my oldest.
It's a great name.
Isaiah
Armstrong, dude, you can be famous. Even Jesse Armstrong is an amazing name.
Thanks. But he early on, like just watching like Star Wars and stuff like that. I really want to introduce him to that stuff early, and immediately like we saw changes in his behavior. He was like acting out.
Really?
Like pretending to shoot his mom and different things like that. So like that's why we kind of changed it. We're like, nope, just age appropriate stuff. So
that's funny. It's probably very similar with my house too. I joke about it, but I think that was pretty close to the reason we didn't have consoles growing up. And my parents would say it was because similar things would happen with my brother. We boiled it down to his heart rate would go up. But I think it was just like a noticeable change in behavior. And I think that that's really commendable of you guys, because I don't necessarily think that that's like the popular thing. I don't think that it's a hard decision, therefore it can't be the popular one to say, nope, this is going to be totally different from what the neighbors are doing and what their neighbors are doing, what everybody else is up to. this is a decision that impacts our family only, so we should be the ones kind of in control of that.
Yeah.
And did it work? Yeah.
It has, for the most part. He still has like a really addictive personality. So like, if he gets too much screen time, whether it's on a iPad or playing a game, we notice a change in behavior. He'll just be disobedient, and he gets really whiny and emotional, and it's like, so we just limit him to try to like do like 30 minutes.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes we go over that, but he, over the last several months, he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah. That's very observant, man. I'm very impressed by that, because I feel like, from my experience, it seems like we could kind of chalk that up to almost anything. Like, oh, just that's what 6-year-olds do. Like, this is a phase or whatever. And I think that this is a very proactive way of you guys kind of handling that situation. So, and plus you have 4 kids. Like, take no chances. Like, this pretty much try to keep everything contained. You're like, good day for us. Like, Nice, man. So, okay, how many kids were growing up in your family when you were a kid?
I was a only child.
Okay.
Until my mom and my stepdad got married, and I had a stepsister that lived.
How old were you then?
I was 10 or 11
so
when I got married.
Definitely old enough to go, this is very different. And how old was your stepsister compared to you?
She's
okay, so you've got an older sibling now all of a sudden. How did that change things for you?
It wasn't really a big
thing. Really?
I mean, we would play games together. We played Sonic, Knuckles together. So, and
Sonic and Knuckles. I would say so. This made you play not the best games. Basically, is what you're saying.
Like I said, I went from NES to Genesis. So,
dude, that's awesome. So, like, okay, I want to get to. I know at some point in you having 4 kids, you met Jacob Rush, and I feel like that sort of changed paths for you. Actually, it's probably a huge reason you're even here right now. It's just the way that the galaxy has worked.
Absolutely.
And like all these different like ping pong reactions of people meeting each other and other people starting to do things and just happen to like Jacob just happens to know who Bobby is, I think, through the Nintendo dads, and the Nintendo dads exist because Zach and Justin just happened to be on VG Tribune, or they met through the forums, and then they like went for coffee. Like, what the heck? Like, this kind of stuff just blows my mind. And then when I heard that you and Jacob have connections, I'm like, well, of course. Like, we are all interconnected in a way. I think somebody should actually Adam Leonard. Not to brag, we should have him draw out like a map of like pictures and like string and push pins and stuff. Basically the background of like if we ran Nintendo, but like with all of us, and just like the cause and effect that brought us all together, because it's like way too cosmic. So, where were you in your family building when you met Jacob? Because you met him at a very particular time in his life.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago. So I think it was right after we had Elijah. I'm not exactly sure when they started going to our church, but it was around that time. So we, at the hospital and stuff, and going through all that, and had the church praying for us.
But what was it about? Like, so Jacob was on, and he's told his story, and I should mention. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I should go back and look up. I mentioned in the intro or the outro what episode he was on. It's definitely on episode 100, but obviously had a life-changing experience for him. Like, I don't know if hospitals are just different, or like we had no interaction with any patients around us. Like we were basically like, put us in a room and leave us alone. How did you guys end up coming together? Like, what was that first, like, did you bump into each other and spill some papers and your hands touched and you're like, oh, let's be friends? I'm gathering that's not what happened, but how did you guys first come to interact with each other?
At church.
Okay.
So they started going to our church, him and Becca, and like I said, we we had Elijah at that point, and like sitting in church, they were, sitting by us, and they would ask to, see or hold Elijah. And also Becca sings on worship team, so and they've both been involved in worship. And I run sound at church every third or fourth Sunday, so kind of that interaction, just serving through church together. And then whenever they got pregnant with Judah, praying for them throughout the process and all of that. And,
so you had met before that, and you're kind of like sharing life stories and just getting to know one another on a deeper level. And then this happened. So they already had kind of a bit of a system with you in particular, that you guys were there for that. And so what was it like for you guys to go, like, because to me it seemed like this is a situation that is insanely unique in all of the most unfortunate ways possible. This was a test for you as well, in terms of being there for Jacob. Like, this is something that I think for a lot of people don't know how to handle. They don't know, like, what's the right thing to say? What do I do? How do I show my support for this person? So, like, what did that mean for you and your family to be there for Jacob? Like, how did that manifest?
Yeah, my wife is really good at, comforting and compassion, and that's not my strong point at all. So, going in, I was very nervous. Like you said, I had no idea what to say to you, and it's really just the biggest thing is being there and supporting somebody. Just the presence really helps. And we experienced some of that with Elijah. Just because of his health issues, it's not the same. Losing a child versus having a sick child is very different. But there is also that lingering, what's happening next, where do we go from here? Some of that is similar. So, and we were actually able to connect Jacob and Becca with some other friends of ours that had used to go to our church that had lost a child as well. So we were able to connect them and their friends, and they were able to really help them through that process. And so, it's definitely difficult.
So, but that's kind of like where things started for you guys. And now how often are you guys able to, like, so you obviously going to the same church, you're pretty close in proximity to each other. You hung out just last night. Like, was that, I mean, coming together under the most unfortunate circumstances ever, but like, what a long and beautiful friendship you guys have built since then. Like, that's the thing that really blows me away, is that, like, you go to church, you meet, and then there's this thing that happens that is awful, but it truly binds you together. And now, like, you guys are friends for life, man. And you have so much kindness in you. And I have to say this, especially make sure that this is baked into the episode, because I want to thank you, because your kindness extends beyond people that you meet at the church. Your kindness is so, like, you came out of nowhere and said, hey man, I know you're looking for that Bayonetta amiibo or that Poochie amiibo, so like, here it comes. And I'm like, I don't deserve this. Like, I didn't do anything. I didn't like there was no transaction for us at all. And I wanted to mention to you that I will never forget that. And that affects me in a way that you don't even know. Like, that makes me think of how I look at offering kindness instead of like waiting for somebody else, because that's generally, I was talking about this with Dave, and it was like, I don't generally let people in per se, but like, you actually like reached out, and so did Dave, like, in a way, like you didn't even just wait for people to like open the doors. It was like, push them open. I just want to do something nice for you. And I just like, I don't know, man. I'm glad that this is probably the most that I've actually articulated that, because I don't generally talk to myself unless I'm talking into a camera before the show. But yeah, man, I appreciate that more than you know. And I'm not, sometimes I ask people, and I think I put them on the spot a little bit to say like, what other nice things do you do? I'm not gonna say that. I just wanted to, I'm sure that people listening to this who know you previously, they're all thinking to themselves, Yeah, man, that's Jesse. Like, he just does that. They've all got experiences like that, and I just wanted to thank you for that. It was a very small version of what I'm sure you've done for so many other people, and that's just that's why I'm sure that's how you deal with the 4 kids, dude. Just kindness always. Yeah. I just really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm naturally very selfish. So,
selfish or selfless?
Selfish.
Oh, okay. That's very surprising.
Yeah, but yeah, and just sometimes something comes up, and I'm just like, here you go.
Well, I really appreciate it, man. And like, it's funny how I don't think anybody would describe you as that way. I think that's what sometimes the most selfless people do. I think my mom actually was just saying this not too long ago, how she's like, sometimes I just feel so and like she puts people before herself every single moment of every single day. So I think that it's usually when somebody is like extremely selfless that they're much more cognizant of the rare occasion where it's like, no, I got to do this for me. And like, that's very much allowed, at least in my opinion. Like, you gotta look after number one. And sometimes looking after other people feels like it's taking care of you. I think Antonio Guillen and I kind of connected on that as well. He's like, thank you, man. So we're both just like, thank you. And he's like, thank you. And there's just thanks going on. So that's why you guys should all just move to Canada. These are all very Canadian traits. So you should just come on up. You can get your nuts cut open for free, I think. I actually don't even know. I haven't really looked into it. Nice, dude.
I've been to Canada.
Where'd you go?
Time.
Yeah. Were you doing Niagara at some point?
No. I had went to a Detroit Tigers game.
Oh, classic.
And as Tigers and Rangers, I'm a Rangers fan. Mm-hmm. So, me and a buddy were driving down the road, and we were sitting at this intersection, and it says
Canada's over there, man.
So we were like, looked at each other, and it's like, all right, let's do it. And drove through the tunnel, and I called my wife, and I'm like, hey, so we're driving into Canada, and she's like, you don't have a passport. And this was like right after they had changed, because I was in the Army. So, before you could just show you like military ID, and it wasn't an issue. And I had traveled to Germany before that and didn't have a passport.
Wow. Just because military.
Yeah. So, and I just wasn't thinking about it. And she's like, no, you have to have a passport to get back in. So, like, we're like scrambling, like, what in the world are we going to do? And
you got to use those military skills to sneak back in.
Yeah. So we get to Windsor, and like pulling up to customs, and there's this long line of traffic, and so we have some time to like try to figure out what to do. And we're looking around, and there's all these signs like no firearms, stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, we just went to Detroit. I've got my handgun under my seat.
No way.
Like, yeah, like what are we gonna do? Like, we don't have passports, and I have a gun. So like I get up there to the, I don't know what you would call her, but like basically a booth. She's checking you in. She's like, you have to declare like what you're going to Canada for.
By accident.
We just looked at her. Yeah, we're just looking at her, and I'm like, I got stuck on this road, and we drove through the tunnel, and we just want to go back home, but I have a handgun under my seat, so I can't be here.
Holy.
And she's like, okay, you need to pull over here. And so we had to park and then stand on the wall, with
and
our
these are
arms
Canadian officers that you're talking. Like, these are like people on horses in red uniforms and funny hats that you're talking to. Okay.
No, there weren't any horses.
That's our border. Like, you guys are building a wall. We've got a line of horses and people on top of horses, and that's it. That's our border. So okay, so they like, what's the reaction? You say, I've got a gun in the car, and they go, you pull over there. Yeah. Is there panic? Yeah. Is there like, oh, just another one of these?
No, they handled it pretty well. I mean, they were really friendly, just keep your hands up, just follow orders, and had us get out of the car, frisked us, and then like emptied my car out and like went through everything, and put everything back, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to turn you over to U.S. Customs. So,
and you get to keep your gun?
Went through Well, they had taken it at that point.
But they didn't give it back or anything?
They did. They gave it to the U.S. Customs.
This blows my mind. Okay. I feel like because the reason it blows my mind is because if I accidentally brought like a bottle of liquor from Mexico back home, and I'd be like, oh, I forgot to claim my this bottle of rum, they would take it away. Like they would keep my rum, but they're like, these guys are like, no, it's everybody makes mistakes. Here's your handgun back.
Well, they didn't hand it. They didn't give it to me. Like I said, they turned it over to U.S. Customs. So we had to talk to U.S. Customs at that point, and it was like a complete difference. Like the Canadians were joking with us and laughing, like this is gonna be a great story.
Of course,
all this stuff. And we get to U.S. Customs, and like they're completely serious. They don't say like a word to us. They're just like glaring at us, like shaking their head, like who are these two idiots trying to go to Canada with a gun? And so like after 30 minutes of like sitting there like in silence, one of the customs officers comes up and he goes, "Lapel?" I'm like, "Yeah." That's where I'm from. He's like, "Yeah, I'm from Anderson." So he was like basically 10 miles away from my hometown, and that's where he grew up. So then like at that point, like it started to ease up.
And that was enough. It was like you guys are like, "Wait a minute, your mother's name is Martha?" What?
yeah, exactly. It was one of those.
Oh, I love it.
But after that, then they brought me my gun, and it was completely disassembled. They had it like bagged up in Ziploc bags. All the ammo was separate. The magazines were separate. They had the slide off the gun. I mean, it was completely disassembled. So gave it back to me, and I said,
kick you in the butt and send you on your way. So you said that you had a gun with you because you were in Detroit. Was it very like it was specific for that trip?
Oh yeah. I mean, I try to carry more often than not, but that one was definitely going to Detroit that area.
Wow.
Not going to be there without some type of protection. So,
dude, I wish you would have mentioned that much earlier, because it's about that time where I need to ask you to tell people where to find you on the internet. But like, now we do in returning guests, we need to talk about military, and holy crap, I'm trying to like in my mind think like, what can I chop from the beginning that I could extend this a little longer? I don't think that I can. So we're gonna have to. I want to find more about that, because I think there's stories there for sure. But man, thank you so much for taking the time. I know that there's a little bit of confusion, and with 4 kids, I don't know how the heck you managed to do this, because this is basically the only time that I've chopped out, and it's like this is it. And with I'm going to be out of town this afternoon, so I really appreciate you working around, and I hope that you enjoy the Walking Dead. Is it the premiere tonight, like the mid-season premiere or finale?
The season premiere.
I don't even know what day it is, man. It's October, of course. It's the premiere. Where can people find you on the internet and reach out to you, man? And all that other good stuff.
I believe my Twitter is at LittleWade33.
That's what I've got underneath your face right now on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And on Nintendo too. I should probably. I don't know if it's okay if I share your Switch ID. Man, why can't we not just share Switch names? Like that, like update 4. Whatever 4.0 came out, and we have got all these great new features, and it's like we're still using. That's the only way, unless I know you on like Miitomo, or I had you on Wii U or something silly like that. I can't type in your freaking name. That is really unfortunate.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I really enjoy playing Splatoon with you, and I don't even know what interconnectivity there's going to be with Mario Odyssey coming out this week, but we'll have that out there for everybody to play some video games with you. Shout out to Donnie, play some video games.
Yeah, I just pre-ordered that last night, thanks to Jacob.
Nice, man. We got a great October ahead of us. / ending for us.
This is his Amazon Prime account.
That's hilarious. Just share that Prime, just like Netflix subscriptions.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, man. This has been awesome. that's it. I can't believe Jesse left that story to the end. Oh my gosh, I would have loved to dive a little bit more into that, but I also love that the moral of the story is when you go to Detroit, you better be packing heat, man. That's so great. Thank you so much, Jesse, again on Twitter at Lil Wade, Lil Wade 33. That music was Super Mario, of course. He was wearing a Mario hat. So it was Super Mario, The Life and Death of the Mario Brothers on ocremix.org. So thank you guys. Thank you again for listening. If this was your first time, giving us a rating on iTunes and subscribing, you can head over to youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. Give the thumbs up, leave a comment, whatever. I know that the guests always really like having, there's always it's like a rotating crew of people who reach out to the guests and tell them that they enjoy their time. I know that means a lot to them. It means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Remember, you can follow me at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. Follow the website at We The Nerdy. There's so much stuff going on over there. Apparently, I'm doing a War of the Planet of the Apes review. I think I'm at least going to watch it. We already have a review up there, but we got a digital code. Anyways, that's more complications that I need to add here. The show at We The GamerCast. Guys, I really appreciate, even if you know that I'm going to be tweeting it out from here and there, I really appreciate all the follows on that, because that does help get review copies. It helps get my Xbox One X that's coming. I get that thing until January, guys. So thank you so much for all the support. Anything you can do that publicly shows that you're listening, people notice, and I'm really, really appreciative of that. And if you haven't already, check out the Xbox Drive. Speaking of that, I do that while I drive to work. I'm not sure what's going to happen this week. Dave may be driving or taking the bus this week. I'll be in a hotel room. I won't even have a car to drive this week. But anyways, if you haven't already, this last week I went through the McDonald's drive-thru. I ordered my coffee. I bought some Mario toys, and then I stalled my car. So it's hilarious. We also talk about Xbox, but I mean every other Xbox show does that. We do the add-ons. The Xbox Drive is on iTunes and Google Play. You can find it on the DaceSpace network. So please, guys, if you haven't already, it's not long. It's much shorter than your typical show, because I record it while I drive to work, so it's got to be shorter than that. And please consider, if you haven't already, supporting us on patreon.com/makeusbetter, just like all of our amazing patrons and our executive producers and our new guys this week, like Zelfred and Aaron. Thank you guys so much again. You're just continuing to help us build more content, and we're just so pumped about it. Thank you to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonhardt, our video designer, Antonio Guillen, and this is powered by the DaceSpace Network of Podcasts, and you can find other shows like the Warp Whistle Podcast or Forget Being Cool. That's 3 times a week. What else can you ask? Like, there's so much content. It's amazing. Otherwise, guys, this is episode 111. It's a super palindrome of We The GamerCast. It's now in your ears. Thank you again for listening. I'll be back next week, and I hope you're there too. It's also in your eyeballs. I didn't say that. Now it's time for Jason. Oscar, it's time for Jason.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!